गोपीजन वल्लभा जय गिरिवर धारी जय गिरिवर धारी जय यशोदानंद ना जय ब्रजजन रंजना जय यशोदानंदना जय ब्रजजन रंजना जय यशोदानंदना जय ब्रजजन रंजना जय यशोदानंदना जय ब्रजजन रंजना जय यमुना तिरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी 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 हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय राधा माधव की जय जगन्नाथ बलस्वरमाय की जय नृसिंह भगवान की जय पंच तत्व की जय षड गोस्वामी की जय गुरु परंपरा की जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय गुरुदेव हरि ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत्. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Naranarayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashta prayesha bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So Hare Krishna, Prabhu's Mata is. Thank you for joining this Srimad Bhagavatam session today morning. In today's 11th of June 2025. So I've been giving the opportunity to discuss verse number 21 and 22 from 4th canto, 13th chapter. First, let us recite the verses. Viduruvacha tasya shilanideh sadhur brahmanyasya mahatmanah rajya katam abhud dushta prajayat vimanayayo. Viduruvacha tasya shila nidhe sadhor brahmanyasya mahatmanah rajya katam abhud dushta prajayat vimanayayau. Viduruvacha tasya shila nidhe sadhor brahmanyasya mahatmanah rajya katam abhud dushta prajayat vimanayayau. Yes, when Prabhuji and Mataji can decide.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
May I, Prabhuji? Yes.
Please.
Vidura uvacha tasya shila nideh sadho brahmanyasya mahatmanah rajnya katam abhudushta prajayat vimana yayau.
Yes. There's only one Prabhu, I think. You can decide. Balaji Prabhu, can decide.
It's Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Vidura uvacha tasya shila nidhe sadhor brahmanyasya mahatmanah rakya katam abhudushta prajayat vimanayayau.
Hare Krishna. Go to the word meaning. Synonyms. Vidura Vacha. Vidura said, Tasya of him, Anga. Sheela Nidehe, reservoir of good characteristics. Sadhoho, saintly person. Brahman Yasya, lover of Brahmanical culture. Mahatmanaha, great soul. Rajyaha, of the king. Katam, how. Abhut, it was. Dushta, bad. Praja, son. Yat, by which. Vimanaha, by being indifferent. Yayau, he left. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Please hear the translation purport. Vidura inquired from the sage Maitreya, my dear Brahmana, King Anga was very gentle. He had high character and was a saintly personality and lover of Brahminical culture. How is it that such a great soul got a bad son like Vena, because of whom he became indifferent to his kingdom and left it? Purport. In family life, man is supposed to live happily with father, mother, wife, and children. But sometimes, under certain conditions, a father, mother, child, or wife becomes an enemy. It is said by Chanakya Pandita that a father is an enemy when he is too much in debt. A mother is an enemy if she marries for a second time. A wife is an enemy when she is very beautiful. And a son is an enemy when he is a foolish rascal. In this way, when a family member becomes an enemy, it is very difficult to live in family life or remain a householder. Generally, such situations occur in the material world. Therefore, according to Vedic culture, one has to take leave of his family members just after his 50th year so that the balance of his life may be completely devoted in search of Krishna consciousness. Jai Srila Prabhupada's transcendental purport ki jai. Go to 22nd verse. Kim vam hovena uddishya brahmadandam ayuyujan dandavrata dhare ragi munayo dharma kovidaha kim vam hovena uddishya brahmadandam ayuyujan dandavrata dhare ragi munayo dharma kovidaha kim vam hovena uddishya brahmadandam ayuyujan dandavrata dhare ragni munayo dharma kovidaha. Any two of you can recite.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Kim vam hovena uddishya brahmadandam ayuyujan dandavratadhare rajni munayo dharma kovidaha. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Kim vam hovena uddishya brahmadandam ayuyujan दण्डव्रतधरे राज्ञी मुनयो धर्मकोविदाः. हरे कृष्ण. धन्यवाद.
Go to word meaning, synonyms. Kim, why? Va, also. Amhaha, sinful activities. Vene, unto Vena. Uddishya, seeing. Brahmadandam, the curse of a Brahmana. Ayu Yujan, they desired to avoid. Dandavrata Dhare, who carries the rod of punishment. Ragni, unto the king. Munayaha, the great sages. Dharma Kovidaha, completely conversant with the religious principles. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Please hear the translation and purport. Vidura also inquired, how is it that the great sages, who are completely conversant with religious principles, desired to curse King Vena, who himself carried the rod of punishment, and thus awarded him the greatest punishment, Brahma Shapa. Purport. It is understood that the king is able to give punishment to everyone. But in this case, it appears that the great sages punished him. The king must have done something very serious. Otherwise, how could the great sages, who are supposed to be the greatest and most tolerant, still punish him in spite of their elevated religious consciousness? It appears also that the king was not independent of the Brahminical culture. Above the king was the control of the Brahmanas. And if needed, the Brahmanas would dethrone the king or kill him, not with any weapon, but with the mantra of a Brahmashap. The Brahmanas were so powerful that simply by the cursing one would immediately die. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Om Jnanamarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttamadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagar Jatam Sahagana Raghunatamitam Tam Sajeevam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagananita Shri Vishaka Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Yanta Pravishya Mama Vacham Imam Prasuptam Sanjeevayati Akila Shakti Dharasvadhamna Anyam Chahasta Charana Shravatugadin Pranan Namo Bhagavate Purushaya Tubhyam Mukam Karoti Vacharam Pangam Langete Girim Vetkripatam Amanda Pramanam Namo Vishnu Krishna Krishna Putri Shri Mahasho Samutnami Namo Vishnu Krishna Krishna Putri Bhakti Vidan Samutnami Darushishya Vacha Krishna Jai Sri Krishna. So Hare Krishna, Prabhu's Mataji's. So thank you for keeping the appointment with Krishna today. See, in this current chapter, no, in one of the purpose, I think the fifth verse, purpose Srila Prabhupada says, because we can see that Vidura is asking questions to Maitreya Muni in this chapter. Very wonderful chapter, no? Descendants of Dhruva Maharaj is being spoken. Where now Vidura Maharaj is asking Maitreya Muni, how did Narada Muni glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead? And what pastimes were described in that meeting? So he's eager, right? Vidura is eager to hear from Maitreya Muni. And he's telling, I am very eager to hear of them, all the pastimes which were being discussed in that meeting. So kindly explain fully about that glorification of the Lord. So Prabhupada very beautifully says the purport, Srimad Bhagavatam is a record of Bhagavad Katha. Bhagavad Katha, that is topics about the pastimes of Krishna, of the Lord. See, what Vidura was anxious to hear from Maitreya, he was anxious, right? So we can also, Prabhupada said, we can also hear 5,000 years later, provided we are very eager. That's a very beautiful point. So even now it's going on, right? So many years back, this the Bhagavatam has started. So if you are eager, just like Vidura Maharaj was eager to hear more and more, then we can still be having the bliss. That eagerness is very, very, very much essential. See, from this chapter, which is a description of descendants of Dhruva Maharaj, right? In fact, from the verse 6th, I think I will share the screen so that people can also. So Vidura is asking. So it's in the 5th verse you asked, no? What Vidura was anxious to hear, we can also. On the 6th, from 6th onwards, Maitreya Muni is responding. So he's saying, my dear Vidura, when Maharaj Dhruva departed for the forest, so Dhruva Maharaj's son Utkala, he did not desire to accept the throne of his father. Because which was normally it has to come in that parampara, right? It was meant for the ruler of all the lands of the planet, right? So then now he says, actually, from his very birth, no, Utkala was very fully satisfied and he was unattached to the world. He was equipoised because he could see everything resting in the super soul and super soul present in every heart. So he was already a great devotee. So now in the 11th verse, so for this reason, because Utkala was not interested, right? The ministers and all the elderly members of the family thought Utkala to be without intelligence. I mean, they thought he's mad. So they did not take him very seriously to be the next king. So what they did, Utkala's younger brother, Vatsara, who was the son of Brahmi, he was elevated to the throne and he became the king of the world. Now, King Vatsara had a very dear wife whose name was Swarviti, and she gave birth to 6 sons named Pushparna, Tigmaketu, Isha, Urja, Vasu, and Jaya. Now, Pushparna had 2 wives named Prabha and Dosha. Prabha had 3 sons named Pratar, Madhyandinam, and Sayam. Now, Dosha had 3 sons, Pradosha, Nishita, and Vyushta. Now, Vyushta's wife was named Pushkarini, and she gave birth to a very powerful son named Sarvateja. Now, Sarvateja's wife, Akuti, gave birth to a son named Chakshusha. Chakshusha Manu, we wrote, so became the 6th Manu at the end of the Manu millennium. Then Nadvala, the wife of Chakshusha Manu, gave birth to the following faultless sons, 12 sons: Puru, Kutsa, Trita, Dyumna, Satyavan, Rita, Vrata, Agnishtoma, Atiratra, Pradyumna, Shibi, and Ulmuka. Now, of the 12 sons, Ulmuka begot 6 sons in his wife Pushkarini. They were all very good sons. And their son names were Anga, Sumana, Khyati, Kratu, Angira, and Gaya. Why I have been going through all this? Because now, the 18th verse, Anga is the king, King Anga. So the wife of Anga, King Anga, is Sunita. And she gave birth to a son named Vena, who was very crooked. So the saintly King Anga was very disappointed with Vena's bad character. And therefore he left home and kingdom and went out to the forest. So here, see in the 20th verse, he say, no, my dear Vidura, when great sage curse, no, their words are as invisible as a thunderbolt. So when they cursed King Vena out of anger, he died. So after his death, since there was no king, all the rogues, thieves, they flourished. So the kingdom became unregulated and all the citizens suffered greatly. On seeing this, the great sages took the right hand of Vena as a churning rod, and as a result of the churning, Lord Vishnu in his partial representation made his advent as King Prithu, the original emperor of the world. So now we will discuss. So here, now the 21st verse, we inquired from the sage Maitreya, my dear Brahmana, King Anga was very gentle. He had high character and was very saintly personality, a lover of Brahminical culture. How is it that such a great soul got a bad son like Vena, because of whom he became indifferent to his kingdom and left? So you can see, in the family life, man is supposed to live happily with father, mother, wife, and children. But in certain conditions, father, mother, child, wife becomes an enemy. So Chanakya Pandit is telling, so we can discuss this now. Very powerful points, important for us to understand. See, in Srimad Bhagavatam, we find The King Vena was sonless for a long time. And after he offered oblations to Lord Vishnu, his wife Sunita, right, she gave birth to a son, Vena. But that boy grew up to be a greatly irreligious person. So after seeing the cruel and this merciless behavior of his son Vena, King Anga, no, he became very greatly, he was aggrieved and he was really lamenting that he was very greatly unfortunate to have a bad son. But the wonderful thing is that in course of time, King Anga considered his bad son his friend. Why? Because he was helping him to become detached from his home. So the perception of the king is unbelievable. And a great lesson for those of us who are so much attached to our family. In fact, in this current chapter only, the 46th verse, King Anga is thinking, a bad son is better than a good son because a good son creates an attachment for home, whereas a bad son does not. A bad son creates hellish home, from which an intelligent man naturally becomes very easily detached. So he was thinking like that, King Anga. They gave up all attraction for his greatly opulent kingdom, right? And so, unseen by anyone, he very silently gave up his home and the opulence and proceeded towards the forest. See how wonderful are the devotees, of the Lord, that they could see the blessing of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in any painful situation and take difficulty itself as an impetus for detachment from home life. So Vena, his mother's name was Sunita, right? Sunita Garbha Sambhavaha. I think for next chapter 4:14:10. It says, Nirupita Prajapala Pala Sa Jigamshati Vai Prajaha. And Sunita Garbha Sambhavaha. That is, his mother's name was Sunita, Vena's name. So, see, Sunita was also a daughter of a very bad king. Her father was very bad. So, she inherited father's quality. And the son also inherited the mother's quality. See, this is also true. Huh? The son inherits mother's quality and the daughter inherits the father's quality. Now, Sika, because grandfather of Vena, that is father of Sunita, was a bad man. So his daughter means Sunita, mother of Vena. So she became bad. And naturally, as son Vena, he also became bad. Whereas Vena's father was a very nice, good king, King Anga. But because the mother was not good, the son became bad. So here is the evidence. Sunita Garbha Sambhava. Because he was born in the womb of Sunita, bad woman. Right? So he was also very, so actually he was elected as a king to protect the citizens, King Vena, after King Anga left. But instead of protecting, he became very disturbing, great nuisance, disturbance. See, the story of Vena is that his father was very nice king, Anga, right? But his son, born of a bad mother, he was not good. He was killing unnecessarily animals, even men, because he was prince. So see, another very heinous acts, he would do. He would play with his friends, huh? And if there is any fault on the part of his friends, he will at once kill them. And because of the prince, son of the king, nobody would take any step. So the king was very much, King Anga was very much perturbed within his mind how to train this boy to become a future king. He was not successful. So he became too much depressed and disgusted. So he left home and let the things take as it is. Just left him without telling anybody. See, it is said, actually in 4:13, 43rd verse, 4:13, 43, that a married couple must have a son. Prabhupada says, otherwise, their family's life is void. But a son born without good qualities is as good as a blind eye. A blind eye has no use for seeing, but is simply unbearably painful. So the king therefore thought himself very unfortunate to have such a bad son. So see, in one of the classes, Prabhupada says, Dhruva was a great devotee, okay? And his family members also were great devotees. We saw that lineage, right? But gradually it deteriorated. And then one king whose name was Maharaj Vena. He was so extravagant, just like a demon. So this is there. Bhagavatam says that. We saw, that his mother Vena was daughter of a very bad king, father. So he also inherited the same thing, the nature of his mother. Whereas King Anga was very pious. But with all the son's behavior, he was really dejected completely and he left home. So what happened? King Vena was installed on the throne, but he behaved very badly. And the citizens were very much unhappy with him. So what happened? The great sages, the saintly persons approached King Vena. Because the king is supposed to be directed by saintly persons, right? In those days. And they are advising. Brahmanas used to advise the king. My dear king, whatever we are speaking to you, kindly hear it with attention. Please hear us. But King Vena, he happened to be a atheist king. Why he was atheist? It was given, right? We know, from a bad father, bad mother. So King Vena's mother inherited the quality of a father, right? So so when he became king, he was very powerful, strong, but he was an atheist. So what happened, because he was very powerful, he declared by the drum beating and the bugle and all. What was he declaring? See, those days, there was some declaration by the king, by the government. There's no WhatsApp or media or nothing. They go to the marketplace, they take a drum, bugle, and they will declare. This is the law from today, right? That's all. No more any return, nothing. This is the old system. So King Vena, what did he declare? He said, see, these are all nonsense. What is this? No more worship of God. No more sacrifice. No more charity. Stop all this. No more offering oblations of fire sacrifice. No. So this business was meant for the Brahmanas, right? So he's restricting the Brahmanas. Don't do all this nonsense anymore. In this way, he stopped all religious activities. See, formerly, the king was controlled by the saintly persons, Brahmanas. They would give advice to the king. So the Vedic society is divided into 4 classes of men. Right? It is given in Bhagavad Gita, confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Chatur Varni Maya Shrishtam Guna Karma Vibhagashah. 4.13 Bhagavad Gita says, according to quality and work, there are 4 divisions of men. Brahmana, right? The intelligent class of men. Then Kshatriyas, administrative class of men. Then they are also the martial class. And the Vaishyas, productive class. And Shudras, worker class. So that is still existing, but in a different name nowadays. The difficulty is that the classification is not made according to the quality of work. That was the actual position of classification. Nowadays, Shudra government. Shudra is on the government, right? A person who is a nonsense number 1, Prabhupada says he has no knowledge. He is the head of the government. So the whole things have become topsy-turvy. So Vena was, we have seen that Vena is very, very bad. What he was declaring. So they had to install him as a king. There should be somebody, right? So Brahmanas installed him. So as soon as they saw he is going beyond the limits, then Brahmanas went to him and took time to convince him to improve his behavior. So in the beginning, Brahmanas, they were not angry. He was doing a lot of nonsense, but they were not angry. We're trying to advise him. That's what we do initially, right? So they went to the king and said, please, you're the guardian of the praja, of the citizens. You're from the royal dynasty. Please improve your behavior. But he was completely beyond the limits. So Brahmanas those days, they were very powerful. By the mantras only, they finished him. Powerful mantras. Brahma Shapa, you saw that, right? So now King Vena is dead. So they wanted a king now. Because without a king, it will be total chaos. So as soon as they wanted the king, and it must be from the royal, right? Royal clan, we say, So because that is the thing, what they do, they churned King Vena's body. So they were very powerful Brahmanas. They churned, and then King Prithu was born, right? He's also actually incarnation of the Lord itself, King Prithu, who ruled very wonderfully. But now we lack the Brahminical culture. By Mantrasana, nothing can be done. So that's why Srila Prabhupada, he toiled and moiled for almost 10 to 11 years. So 10 to 11 years was his direct manifestation, Srila Prabhupada. But indirect things were going on whole of his lifetime. See, actually, Prabhupada, he was not a family person at all. Although he had a family, he was not a family. He was living in the family, but he was always attached to this Krishna consciousness. Eventually, what happened for Prabhupada, matters came to the top and his wife was not cooperative. His wife did not cooperate. Right? We seen his. So my Guru Maharaj used to say, that is very good for us. If his wife would have been cooperating, then Prabhupada would not never have left his house and go to Vrindavan and take this. Then we would have been completely left in darkness, eating meat, fish, and so many things, right? All these prohibitions will not be there, right? Just religious principles. It is good that he left, so we are able to have this Bhagavatam in front of us. The thing is, as soon as the king realizes or is directed by the Brahmanas, then everything will be smooth. So we have to be guided by the Brahmanas. All of us too have to be guided by the Brahmanas. But in Kali Yuga, we see, we don't have the qualified Brahmanas. So don't worry. If there is no Brahmana, but there is one of the greatest Brahmana we have. What is that? You be guided by the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. Come submissively to the pages of Bhagavatam, and your life will be completely changed for good. And this is a guarantee. All the acharyas give guarantee. So as soon as we come to the pages of Bhagavatam, the transcendental intelligence we develop. Till that time, we don't develop any incident, no transcendental intelligence. We have to come to Bhagavatam submissively. Seriously, we have to read, right? So as soon as you come, just start. It will have effect on you. Such a nice scripture in front of us. Completely beautifully translated, each letter word to word by Srila Prabhupada. So we have to focus on it, right? It's point one. Hare Krishna, mute yourself, please. So here, see, we saw in the purport, right? In family life, a man is supposed to live happily with father, mother, wife, and children. But sometimes, under certain conditions, father, mother, child, or wife becomes an enemy. And Prabhupada says in the purport, right? It is said by Chanakya Pandit that a father is an enemy when he's too much in debt. In debit, it means loans, so many things he have taken. A mother is an enemy if she marries for a second time. A wife is an enemy when she is very beautiful. And the son is an enemy when he is foolish, rascal. So Chanakya Pandit says there are 4 kinds of enemies, right? In the family, how it is possible? In the family, there are enemies. How? Ranak, it is there in one of the Vedic. Ranakarta Pita Shatruhu. Chanakya Pandita said, a father who is a great debtor, he is an enemy. Now, because the son inherits the money of the father, similarly, the law is that if the father dies a debtor, son becomes responsible to pay the debts. That is the law, Manu Samhita. So Chanakya Pandita is saying, father who dies as a debtor, he is an enemy. Ranakarta Pita Shatruhu. Rana means debts, and Karta means one who has committed so many debts and dies. So instead of enjoying father's property, he has to pay the father's debts. So therefore, the father is called enemy. Ranakarta Pita Shatrur, Mata Shatru Vyabhicharini. And mother, if she marries for the second time, she is enemy. So Ranakarta Pita Shatru, Mata Shatru Vyabhicharini, Rupavati Bharya Shatruhu. And a very beautiful wife, she is an enemy. And Putra Shatru, Apandita. Apandita. So, and if the son is a fool, rascal, he is also an enemy. So 4 kinds, right? Ranakarta Pita Shatrur, Mata Cha Vibicharini, Bharya Rupavati Shatru, Putra Shatru, Apandita. I think the Hitopadesh, right? 22 or something. So Prabhupada has quoted this. See, Ajamila, he repented his intelligence later on, right, in performing his duty to his wife, father and mother. So initially he was the Brahmana. He repented later on. So it is the duty of a grown-up children to render service to their aged parents. So this practice should be reintroduced into the current society. Otherwise, what is the use of family life? See, proper family life means that the husband should be protective, the wife chaste, and the children grateful to their father and mother. Right? Proper family means the husband should be protective, wife should be chaste, and the children grateful to their father and mother. The children should think, my father and mother gave me so much service. When I was unable to walk, they carried me. When I was unable to eat, they fed me. They gave me an education. They gave me life. A bona fide son thinks of ways to render service to his father and mother. See, just as a woman is expected to be faithful to her husband, so the husband should be grateful for her service and protect her. So because of his association with a prostitute, Ajamila had abandoned all his duties. So regretting this, he now considered himself quite fallen. See, according to the Vedic system, as soon as one takes birth, very important things for us to understand. As soon as one takes birth, he becomes indebted to so many persons. We are indebted to the rishis or great sages because we derive knowledge from their translated writings, such as Srimad Bhagavatam, compiled by Srila Vyasadeva. See, the authors of the scriptures, they know the past, present, and future. And we are all urged to take advantage of such invaluable knowledge, right? So we are indebted to the sages. We are also indebted to the demigods because they manage the affairs of the universe, supplying very essential sunshine from the sun god, right? Moonshine from moon god, Chandra, Surya, Chandra, air from Vayu. So each element is controlled by a particular demigod. So we are also indebted to ordinary living entities from whom we take service. For example, we take milk from the cow. So according to Vedic understanding, cow is considered one of our mothers because we drink her milk. Just as at birth, we drink our mother's milk. Srimad Bhagavatam lists 7 mothers. Our own mother, wife of our teacher or spiritual master, wife of a Brahmana, wife of the king, the nurse, the cow, and the earth. So we are indebted to all 7 of these mothers and also to our father, brothers, friends, relatives, and forefathers. See, we may ask, how can one hope to liquidate all these debts? So we are indebted to all these people. So how can we liquidate? The answer is only by taking shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. See, the Mukunda, right? The name Mukunda indicates one who liberates us from material contamination. We are indebted to demigods, but we cannot take shelter of the demigods. If you actually want shelter, we should take shelter of Krishna, because he alone can free us from all the debts. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and if he excuses us, then all other departmental managers, right, such as demigods, they must also excuse us. So Ajamula understood his position as a debtor. But since he had now taken shelter at the lotus feet of Mukunda, all his debts were cleared. Simply by taking shelter of the Lord, right, who is non-different from Mukunda, Ajamila became free. So similarly, if we want to be free from all the sinful reactions, we have no alternative but to surrender to Krishna. As Krishna recommends in Bhagavad Gita 18.66, Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Simply surrender to me. So we should follow Krishna's advice. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to liquidate all our debts to so many persons, right? Especially in this age of Kali. See, in the purport of 6.16.6, Chitrakesu's son was his enemy in a past life. Okay. And now he had appeared as his son just to give him more severe pain. See, ultimately, the untimely death of Chitraketu's son, no, it caused severe lamentation for the father. Now, one may give an argument. If the king's son was his enemy, how could the king have so much affection for him? In his past life, that was right. So, in answer, the example is given that when someone's wealth, it falls into the hands of his enemy, the money becomes the enemy's friend. Right? If someone's wealth falls into the hands of the enemy, the money the wealth becomes the enemy's friend. Then the enemy can use it for his own purpose, right? He can even use it to harm the owner, previous from whom it has transferred. So the money belongs to neither to one party nor to the other. Because money is always money. But in different situations, it can be used as an enemy or as a friend. Very nicely given by Prabhupada, right? See, it is explained in Bhagavad Gita. It is not by any father or mother that the living entity is given birth. The living entity is completely separate identity from the so-called father and mother. See, by the laws of nature, the living entity is forced to enter the semen of a father and be injected into the womb of the mother. So he's not in control of selecting what kind of father he will accept. Prakriti kriyamanani. The laws of nature forces him to go to different fathers and mothers. So the so-called relationship of father and son is an arrangement of Prakriti or nature. See, the same living entity sometimes takes shelter of an animal father and mother, sometimes a human father and mother, sometimes accepts father and mother from among the birds, sometimes he accepts a demigod father and mother. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jiva, Guru Krishna Prasade Paya Bhakti Lata Bija. Harassed life after life by the laws of nature, the living entity wanders throughout the entire universe in different planets and different species of life. Some more or the other, if he is fortunate enough, he comes in touch with a devotee who reforms his entire life. Then the living entity goes back to body. Therefore, it is said, Janame Janame Sabe Pita Mata Paya, Krishna Guru Nahi Mile, Bhaja Hari. See, in the transmigration of the soul through different bodies, everyone in every form of life, be it human, animal, tree, or demigod, he gets a father and mother. So this is not very difficult. Okay, they get this is not difficult. But the difficulty is to obtain a bona fide spiritual master and Krishna. If it is to obtain a bona fide spiritual master. Therefore, the duty of a human being is to capture the opportunity to come in touch with Krishna's representative, the bona fide spiritual master. Very, very important. So we are all fortunate to come under the shelter of Prabhupada, right? So under the guidance of the spiritual master, the spiritual father, one can return home back to Godhead. See, according to Vedic Smriti, very nicely, Punnamnu Narakad Yasmat Pitaram Trayate Shtutah Tasmat Putra Iti Proktah Swayam Eva Swayam Bhuva. Because the son delivers his father. See, this is another different angle. Because the son delivers his father from punishment in the hell called Put. The son is called Putra. So according to this principle, when there is a disagreement between his father and mother, it is the father, not the mother, who is delivered by the son. But if the wife is faithful and firmly adherent to her husband, when the father is delivered, the mother is also delivered. So there is no things as such a divorce in the Vedic literature. See, a wife is always trained to be chaste and faithful to her husband, because this helps her achieve deliverance from any abominable material condition. So this verse clearly says, Putro Nayati Naradeva Yama Kshayat. The son saves his father from the custody of Yamaraj. So husband and wife should not separate under any condition. For if they have a child whom they raise to be a Vaishnava, he can save both the father and mother from the custody of Yamaraj and punishment in hellish life. It's very nicely given in the purport of 9:20-22 Bhagavatam by Prabhupada. So, see, the Chanakya Pandita, he also says one more very nice point. If a person has neither a mother nor a pleasing wife at home, said, Mata yasya grahe nasti, bharya chapriya gadini, aranyam tena gantavyam, yatharanyam tatha graham. If a person has neither a mother nor a pleasing wife at home, he should leave home and go to the forest. Because for him, there is no difference between the forest and the home. The real Mata or mother is devotional service to the God, to the Lord. And the real Patni or devoted wife is a wife who helps her husband execute religious principles in devotional service. So these two things are required for a happy home. Actually, a woman who is supposed to be the energy of man. See, historically in the background, every great man, of every great man, there is either a mother or a wife. So one's household life is very successful if he has both a good wife and mother. So in such a case, everything about household affairs and all the paraphernalia in the house becomes very pleasing. See, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had both a good mother and pleasing wife, and he was very happy at home. Of course, you can see for the benefit of the whole human race, he took sannyas and left both his mother and wife. So it is essential that one have a good mother and a wife in order to become perfect, happy home. Otherwise, home life has no meaning. Unless one is religiously guided by intelligence and renders devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his home can never become very pleasing to a saintly person. So if a man has a good mother and a good wife, there is no need of taking sannyas. If a man has a good mother or a good wife, there is no need of taking his sannyas unless it's absolutely necessary, as it was for the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We saw in the purport of the 32nd verse, see, above the king, was the king of control of the Brahmanas. And if needed, Brahmanas would dethrone the king or kill him. Not with any weapon, but with the mantra of a Brahma Shapa. We saw that. See, just like without the head. See, what is the value of our body without the bed? Brahmana means the head. 11.5.2 Bhagavatam says. Brahmana means the head. Therefore, Brahmana is offered so much respect. See, in the head, in the brain, you conceive something. In the hands and legs, they execute the order. Similarly, the head of the society, they should be the Brahmanas. They are not interested in capturing political power. No. Brahmana is to give instructions. So we find from Vedic literature, there were committees, right? There were councils and all of great sages and Brahmanas. They would give king advice. You rule in this way. And if the king is disobedient, sometimes Brahmana would dethrone him and kill him. So that was the Vedic system. So we find from the life and ruling of Maharaj Prithu, how he was ruling over the world, how he was observing that every community, either Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, they were properly employed. There was no unemployment question. It was the duty of the king to see that not a single man is unemployed. He must be engaged. So they may be arranged like that. So what is the idea? The idea is to elevate everyone gradually to the position of Brahmana and Vaishnava. Thus make their life perfect. That is the scheme of the Vedic civilization. Chatur Varniyam Maya Srishtam Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. See, information is given, right? The selection of a king by Brahmanas. See, according to the Varnashrama system, the Brahmanas are considered to be the head of the society and therefore to be situated in the topmost social position, right? So Varnashram Dharma, the institution of 4 Varnas and the 4 Ashramas is very scientifically designed. As beautifully given in Bhagavad Gita. See, Varnashram Dharma is not man-made. God made, is Lord. In this, see, it is very clearly indicated that Brahmanas used to control the royal power. When an evil king like Vena ruled, the Brahmanas would kill him through their Brahmanic powers. We saw that. And then they would select a proper ruler by testing his qualifications. See, Brahmanas, no intelligent men or great sages, no. They would control the monarchical powers. So how the Brahmanas elected King Prithu, we saw that, to the throne as a protector of the citizens. Because the citizens were struggling. So the structure of the Varnashrama system, so nice. The Brahmanas would guide the head of the state. The head of the state would then give protection to the citizens. So the Kshatriyas, what happens? They take charge of protecting the people in general. And under the protection of the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas would protect the cows, produce food grains, and distribute them. Shudras, the working class, they would help the higher 3 classes by manual labor. So this is a perfect social system. So former kings were as good as great sages. They were trained in such a way. They are guided by the high Brahmanas and sages. And if the king would prove useless, no, they will dethrone him. So that was the monarchical system. Therefore, they were called Rajarishis. And people were very happy. The Rajarishi, the king, he would be seeing that, he would see everything through the Varnashram Dharma. It's also executed by his subjects, right? So that the citizens are protected from the hands of dishonest ministers, thieves, and rogues. No corruption. That is good governance. Not only that, the purpose of human life was being executed under the guidance of the government. So as to elevate everyone to the platform of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is Vedic culture. So this Vedic culture means the aim of human civilization should be to understand the original proprietor of everything. See, at present, because the head of the social body is missing, it is a dead body. Head is very important, right? And our Krishna conscious movement is attempting to create some Brahmanas who will form the head of the society. Then the administrators will be able to rule very nicely under the instructions, right? Under the instruction of God conscious people. God conscious Brahmana would never advise opening slaughterhouses. Never. But now, many rascals heading the government, they allow animal slaughters. When Maharaj Parikshit saw a degraded man trying to kill a cow, he immediately drew his sword and said, "Who are you? Why are you trying to kill the cow?" He was a real king. Nowadays, unqualified men have taken the top post. They may pose themselves as very religious, but they are simply rascals. Why? Because under their noses, thousands of cows are being killed, while they collect a very good salary. So any leader who is Prabhupada says, any leader who is at all religious should resign his post in protest if cow slaughter goes on under his rule. See, people do not know that these administrators are rascals. They are suffering. And the people are also rascals because they are voting for these bigger rascals. So this is the scientific division of society that Krishna advocates in Bhagavad Gita 4.13. Chatur Varni Maya system, Guna Karma Vibhakasha. So according to three modes of mental nature and the work ascribed to them, four divisions of human society were created by me. See, 5.5.18 Bhagavatam says, Guru na sasya swajano na sasyat, pita na sasya janani na sasyat, daivam na tatsya na patischa sasyan, namo chayadya samupeta mrityum. One who cannot deliver his dependents from the path of repeated birth and death. One who cannot deliver his dependents from the path of repeated birth and death should never become a spiritual master, should never become a father, should never become a husband, should never become a mother or a worshipable demigod. Very powerful statement. So devotional service is just like a river. You should always keep flowing. So whenever we sense that it is stagnating, we should immediately take proactive measure to keep it flowing. By how? By keeping up the enthusiasm. By doing various kinds of services, of which the best is preaching. Preaching means not necessarily to sit in class. You can even speak what you heard to somebody. That is preaching. Preaching means sharing a message of Krishna compassionately by truly observing that the souls are suffering in this world, right? Otherwise, slowly and gradually, our own devotion will become dry and wither away if we don't do that also. For preaching, we need to study, right? So when we study, we feel the enthusiasm. We are eager to hear, just like Vidur Maharaj asking, we are very eager to hear the pastimes of Krishna. So we are hearing Krishna Katha every day in and day out. So we feel enthused. And by reading Prabhupada's purports, we become so enthused. We cannot keep quiet. We somehow want to share it with others, right? So this is why we can call our neighbors and friends and have a small program, discuss, read one Bhagavad Gita verse, Bhagavatam verse, and discuss among yourselves. So, in this verse, see, perfect verse is spoken about the sages who are concerned with seeing the atrocities of King Vena. How he is torturing the citizens. Right? 4.14.41 says, the great sages began to think that although Brahmana is peaceful and impartial, because he is equal to everyone, it is still not his duty to neglect poor humans. Right? So, by such a neglect, Brahmana's spiritual power will also diminish. Just as water kept in a cracked pot, no, it leaks out. So the idea is that in the name of keeping ourselves in the mode of goodness, we should not become we should not, what do you say, leave away the feelings of others. Ignore the feelings of others, right? We should not. A devotee is full of feelings and empathy for others. and he will always want to do good to others. See, when he sees others in pain, no, he will try to do something to them so that they will be elevated from the pain and then start taking the path of devotion seriously. If we do not keep this empathy for others as the center of our existence, then, as the wonderful example is quoted, right? Unknowingly, we will lose the taste for devotion. Just like the water from the cracked pot leaks away. So let us all pray to Guru, Srila Prabhupada and Krishna that let them keep us always at their shelter, and which automatically rejuvenates our body, mind, and intelligence, and so that we can engage in their service eternally. So this is how we should take these lessons. So whatever I wanted to convey within my capacity, which I did. Thank you very much, Mother. I'll stop here now. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai, Vancha Kalpataru Kripa Sindhu Bhagavacha, Patitanam Pavani Vaishnava. Hare Krishna. If you have any questions or anything to share, please go ahead. Hare Krishna. Oh, thank you very much for this
Hare Krishna.
opportunity. Hare Krishna, Balaji Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. In one side, we are saying that, in the purpose is saying the son has to be, like a bit a rascal. It's good for us to get rid of the family life. Other side is saying the family life has to be like good. The wife, children, everyone should be good and all that. So like a little bit contrary,
Contrary, yeah.
Not balanced.
Good question, right?
Yeah.
See, bad definitely it is really difficult. Good, the good thing is you become detached. You're not attached to your family. The main thing is we should not be attached. No, that is the main thing we should understand. You should attach to Krishna. So the other things will automatically go. The point is, unless you are Krishna conscious, then you will get attached naturally for a good son. Of course, it doesn't mean that you should not have a good son. Means definitely, what is a good son? We saw good son means he will also follow in the Krishna conscious way, right? And if he's not in Krishna conscious, doesn't mean he's bad also. That is also we should be very, very careful, right? Bad means doing nonsense inside the house, outside also, creating nuisance, bringing bad name to the whole family, whole society. That is really bad. But otherwise, we can realize ourselves. We have our families, right? Maybe we may be chanting 16 notes, being Krishna conscious. Maybe our family is not doing. My son, wife may not be doing. But still, they are not as bad as King Vena. Correct. So the duty of a father and mother is to bring them to Krishna consciousness, bring our family to Krishna consciousness. That's why we saw the last words, right? Guru na Shishyat. You cannot bring them dependence to take them away from the cycle of birth and death. Then you are not supposed to be a grandfather or a mother or a spiritual master. That is the main duty of a father and mother-in-law, to bring them to Krishna consciousness. That is a very powerful statement. So we should try our level best, right? So it doesn't mean that good son means, it's not contradictory. It is just a perception, means how we should take it, right? So we should not take it literally. And nowadays, even if it's a bad son, we don't go away also, right? That's, even if it's bad, we don't, we are so attached to the material things, not necessarily in family, other material things also we are attached. We want to enjoy. Sense gratification is still there. So forget about a bad son or bad daughter or whatever it is. That also, but still we don't want to go. Just like King Kanga, because of his bad son, he left the kingdom. He was so opulent. He left everything. We will not do that also. Plus, attachment to good son, that the whole family attachment is still there, right? There's another story, which time is of, since we sometime we can discuss later on. So this is a point to understand. So we should be very smartly taken to. So Vedas, they give this essence. They see this is the situation, how it is to be taken, right? So nowadays, and one more beautiful point was that if you have a very good mother or very good wife, there is no need for taking sannyas also. You can be at home itself. That's so, wife, husband, family, very wonderful, because you are Krishna conscious. You will be, basically it is association of devotee is very, very important. Otherwise, we'll be still struggling. The birth, death, birth, death. If you have a desire, next body is already there. You don't know the next body what it will be. We will be animal, a tree, reptile. Again, when we'll get back the human body. So very powerful statements, right? So this, I hope it was useful to you. Hare Krishna. Balaji.
Yes, Hare Krishna. One side, again, we are inheritance we are talking about. No, if father is this one, what do you call, demand, the son also or daughter will be. But Prahlada Maharaja was the exception.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
True, true. Yeah, because Prahlad Maharaj, before he was born, he was instructed by Narada Muni to his mother when he was in the womb. So that's another. That's what is we have to understand. When the mother pregnant or somebody, the lady is pregnant, she should be hearing Krishna Katha, Bhagavatam, and all these things. So you will get a very nice child like Prahlad Maharaj. So even with a demonic family, you get a devotee.
So basically, Krishna consciousness nullifies the demonic qualities.
Absolutely, absolutely. Perfect. Very nice.
Lovely, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. So thank you very much, Mataji. It's already beyond time. So thank you very much, Mataji, for giving this opportunity. Hare Krishna.